types of opportunities that God has placed in front of us, because we think, all right, we automatically go into the situation thinking that there is something wrong, thinking that something's going to happen, when in actuality, nah. Nope. Like we said, we automatically sabotage the situation. All right. We automatically have negative thoughts towards the situation. We think that it's not going to work out. We're already putting it down before we even try. And that's really sad. It's really sad. And so with that, we got to look at it, and we have to realize that we were all fearfully and wonderfully made. All right. We were all fearfully and wonderfully made, because the verse that we are continuing to deal with is found in Psalms 139:14, which it states this: I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, all right, and that my soul knoweth right well. All right. And the reason why we keep dealing with that and keep putting that in our mind is because some of us have low self-esteem. Some of us have low self-esteem, all right? And some of us have no self-esteem whatsoever. And the reason for that is because we have allowed people to systematically put us down, even as adults, all right? Because there was some stuff that happened to us as a kid that we never really dealt with. And so those things keep festering on the inside of us, and it is infecting and affecting us as an adult. And even as we move into different areas in ministry, but also move into different areas in life. So with that being stated, tonight, and good God, a hush, that was a 9-minute introduction. Tonight, we got to deal with forgive others. That's what we got to deal with on tonight. Because last week we dealt with, or the last 2 weeks, we dealt with forgive ourselves. But tonight we're going to deal with forgive others. Now, I'm going to need some people to come off of mute, because we got some nice, interesting questions here that we're going to have to deal with. And I'm going to need y'all to come on off and let's get the chatting. Let's get this ball rolling, because I'm feeling good. Hallelujah. So the first question that we got to deal with on tonight is going to come up on the screen. Is this: is true forgiveness for the one seeking or for the one receiving? Let me repeat that again. Is true forgiveness for the one seeking or the one receiving? Now, I need somebody to come up off of mute so that we can deal with this question. And don't let the cat have your tongue. Don't let the cat have your tongue. Come on off of mute and deal with this question. And I'll repeat it one more time, because I know everybody's brain is thinking. I can see the smoke coming out your ears and coming off the top of your head. All right. Is true forgiveness for the one seeking or the one receiving? Somebody deal with that one for me.
I say true forgiveness is for the one who is seeking forgiveness, because God is going to hold you accountable for what you do, not the way the other person responds to you saying, would you please forgive me? It's going to be for me to get it off of me, so I'm not carrying that load of guilt. So God is going to hold me accountable, because he told me to go get it and make it right. So I'm going to go make it right, do the right thing. Now, whether that other person forgive me or not, that's on them. They have to be accountable to that. But then God is releasing me that I did what I was told to do. I apologize. I ask you, would you forgive me? And now the guilt trip is not on me any longer. And then I can move on, not putting, more stuff on me that I still got to get this right and more stuff. So I'm free now. I'm free. So now God, what I'm saying? So God can give me something else to do, because I got that squared away. Now for the other person, that's on them. They got to God's gonna hold them accountable whether they accept it or didn't receive it. But as for me, it's for me.
All right. All right. Someone else? Someone else? Because the question is, the first question that we're dealing with on tonight is true forgiveness for the one seeking or the one receiving? Anyone want to take a stab at it? Because I would say, is it possible that the one receiving needs the forgiveness, needs to hear it?
Yes, I do. I believe they do need to hear it because they need to know, okay, you hurt me, you offended me. Yes, and I do want an apology from you. They're expecting, they want it, yes. That will, let them know that you have their best interest at heart, that you care about them. You said you love them, and that's showing them that you really care about their feelings, that you didn't knock it to the side like they don't matter. So yes, I believe they do need to hear it. Because I remember, what I had coming up, I went back to a person and they told, I was waiting for them to tell me they forgave me for something. And I was waiting for it to go that way. And when it didn't go that way, I was waiting for them to apologize for what they did to me. And it didn't go that way. So I'm like, wait a minute, here I'm apologizing to you for what you said I did to you. And you did some dirty stuff to me too. And it didn't go that way. But at the end of it, I still felt good whether I got it or not, because I was able to tell them how they did me wrong. Because I've been holding it for so long. So I got it out. But I remember Overseer telling me, you know what, you may not ever get an apology.
True.
But you may not ever, because I did. The person's gone now. I still ain't got an apology, but I'm okay that I was able to get my feelings out and to release it, where when I seen them or heard them, it was like my skin crawled, or like shut up. They was just getting on my nerves, but because I never got the apology, but I let them know how I felt, I gave them their apology and I didn't receive it back. But it was for both, but I'm okay with it. They're dead and gone. I can't get it now, but at least I got my point across and whatever. So yeah, it's for that person too.
Okay. I'll read online. Brother Elijah said, true forgiveness can be for both. For the one receiving forgiveness, it can help bring healing or resolve an issue if they held it against the person. He also put on there, for the one seeking forgiveness, it's a place of freedom and holding themselves accountable for their actions. So anyone else want to take a stab at the question before we move on to the next one? All right.
I'll say
Go ahead.
Forgiveness is for everybody, but true forgiveness is for the person who's given the forgiveness, because true forgiveness comes to set you free. It was just like Mother said. If she didn't forgive that person, even though she never received I forgive you or whatever acknowledgement she was looking at that they hurt her feelings, she would have kept herself locked up because she never got that I'm sorry, and that person is dead and gone. So when we look at forgiveness, I'm forgiving you to free myself. I'm forgiving you in order to have my soul right. It doesn't matter if you forgive me or not. I can come to you and I'll say I'm sorry. I'm not forgiving you. I'm actually saying I'm sorry. You're the one who's doing the forgiveness. So if you don't forgive me, you keep yourself locked up, keeping yourself bitter, keeping yourself whatever it is that you're holding because you decided not to forgive me. So for true forgiveness is for the person who is actually forgiving somebody, because you release that thing off of you. You release whatever pent up frustration, you release whatever wrong that was done to you, you release it, and then you can move forward.
All right. All right. And also let me give a little extra to it. sometimes when a person is transitioning, it is not necessarily for the person that is seeking forgiveness, but it's sometimes for the person that needs forgiveness, because they are actually being, and I don't want to say being held here, but they are here until they get that one last thing straight. And sometimes once they get that one last thing straight, within hours, within days, they're out of here. They are gone. So I agree. All right. Just wanted to get the ball rolling, because sometimes, yes, it is for both, because it does need to free the one person, but also the other person that needs to receive forgiveness, it also frees them. Because sometimes you got to think about it. You know, unfortunately, they may be too stubborn, all right, to ask for forgiveness. And you have to be the bigger person and tell them, I forgive you for what you did. They may never, like Mom said, they may never come out and say it, but to hear that you forgive them, they're free to a certain degree, even though they did not ask for forgiveness, but they know that they received it. All right. Anyone else has something that they want to add before we move on to the next question?
Good evening. I think that true forgiveness is for both parties because they are connected by the thing that is hurting them, or that needs to be forgiven. So I think it in fact impacts both parties. So true forgiveness is for both of those parties.
All right. Okay. All right. Now on to the next question, which is this. Why will we still hold on to the issue or the issues? Why will we still hold on to it? Why will we still cling to it? Like I'm clinging to this bottle of water. Why will we continue to hold on or cling to the issue, whatever that issue is? Somebody come on off of mute and answer that one for me.
I would say some people use it as a security blanket. They've held on to it for so long, to let go is unfamiliar territory for them.
Oh,
Yes, yeah.
I look at, I'm gonna say my family, for instance, there's a lot of stuff that's underlined or underneath the surface that they hold on to so much that they can't even come together and sit and have a conversation. And it's just something that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago. So it's like, why can't you let that go? I mean, you're totally different people. Every cell in your body has changed a couple of times over. So why can't you let go? I think it's that security blanket. They want to hold on to that because once they let go, what do they have left?
Okay. All right. Sister.
And Pastor,
Yep, go ahead.
I would say that it's because it's the work of the enemy too, to keep separation, where they don't have peace within the family unit. That's a good component he can use to keep that distance. You know what I mean? It'll keep it from being unified.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Keep that family unit separated so that it's not a unit. Sister Shirley Cassius put on there that it becomes a part of their identity. It becomes a part of their identity. Their issue is part of who they are. All right. Someone else. Why will people, or why will we still hold on to an issue or hold on to issues?
Pastor, sometimes you don't know that sometimes a person might not know that they're holding on to it. It can be like Felita was saying, that I believe she said that it can be a part, I forgot what she said, but however, sometimes people can go, it's just like being depressed. You know, sometimes you can be depressed and don't even know that you are depressed. So I believe the same with issues and holding on to stuff. You don't know. Sometimes you can do a thing repetitively and not know that you're doing it incorrectly until someone informs you of it. It's like shining light on what you're doing, you know, in order for you to correct it or know that it's wrong.
Okay. All right. All right.
It also could be a combination of fear. It could be a combination of pride. It could be a combination of those emotions that you haven't released, even though you released that issue that was at the forefront. So you still have some other things that need to be worked out.
So you have multiple issues and multiple problems, because if you think about it, like we said before, you held on to it, you were seeking for forgiveness, or you never really asked for forgiveness, or you needed forgiveness, or like we said at the beginning, you just kept piling stuff on top of stuff. And next thing you know, what you really need or the real issue is down at the bottom. But because you allowed everything to pile on like a hoarder, all right, because a hoarder, they hold on to everything. They don't throw anything out. They have papers, they have food, they have leftover food. I mean, all types of trash all over the place. And it's not just in their house, but for those that drive, it's in their vehicles. And I mean in their vehicles to the place where they cannot even have a passenger with them. And forget going food shopping because their trunk is their office. And their passenger seat is their trash can. That's how bad they're holding on. And that's how bad some of us are when we hold on to issues. Anyone else has something else that they want to add?
Yeah, maybe also when you hold on to an issue, you don't have to address it. So if you ignore it or pile on it, there's no need to address it. So if you are able to identify there's an issue in our families or issues between siblings, fathers, mothers, whomever, you have to address that. Not only do you have to address it, but you have to look at your part in it and be willing to see what you did and be willing to talk about it. And sometimes, like we said, fear can come in. Generational curses, whatever it may be, temperaments come in and you don't want to deal with it. So you ignore it, meaning you don't want to deal with the issue. So you just let it be.
Wow. Wow. All right. Wow.
And I think I'll say some people just like chaos.
Oh.
They can't live without it. Some way or another, there's some chaos always. And when actually people that's like that, when there's calm, they don't know how to act.
Wow.
Because they just need chaos.
Yeah, wow, that's good. They need drama.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why we call them drama queen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. They always need drama. They always need something going on. They always need something going on.
It's like a woe is me spirit. They got to stay there. It's always got to be something. And it's always everybody else's fault. It's never their fault.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. 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 Like they would say, a pity party.
Also, it could be due to immaturity, whether naturally or spiritually. And they just haven't been taught how to deal with the root of forgiveness, you know, dealing with the root of their anger, their bitterness, and all of those things as well.
Yeah, you just kind of jumped into my point, but I ain't going to deal with my point yet. Sister Sharon Peters, she put online, because sometimes the same person will continually offend you and say, I'm sorry, but they really are not sorry. If they were, they wouldn't repeat the offense. At that point, it becomes on you to heal yourself. Yeah, sometimes people will continue to do the same thing. Sometimes people will. Anyone else before we move on to the next question? All right. Because the next question is this. With what we have been through, with what you have been through, all right, in our life, why are we still reluctant to forgive? All right. Let me ask that again. With what we have been through, all right, collectively, individually, all right, globally, all right, just think about it. In this past 2 years with the pandemic, COVID, all that stuff, and besides COVID, you had people that died of regular, everyday ailments and stuff like that. With all of that, why are we still reluctant to forgive? Somebody come off of mute and answer that question for me. Why are we still reluctant?
I think we don't want to, we feel like we lost a battle. We don't want to, when we get in a battle with somebody, I mean, I go to win. And I think sometimes if we give in, it makes us feel like, well, I lost if I give in. But sometimes if you give in, you win the battle instead of losing the battle. And sometimes you just got to say, Minister Smith was saying, in families, you just have to pray and believe that God is going to give you the right time to bring it up and to deal with it, and pray that it won't go in the wrong direction and that he will get the glory out of it. But if we come in ourselves to try to handle it, it can get very messed up. And I don't get people when they say, I can't forget what they done to me. But what did you do to Christ? You ain't perfect. You offended somebody too. Like you never hurt nobody's feelings before. You know, I just can't forget them. They done it to me. So what? So what? But it's a beautiful thing when two people can come together, both wanting forgiveness. Because I think I spoke about it before with my brother. So if you can come together and both want forgiveness, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Because that's how you can, destroy, all right, family curses. All right. That's how you can destroy them. When both of you want to come together and you end up saying is, listen, I'm sorry for what I did, and the other person says, I'm sorry for what I did. Instead of saying, are you sorry for what you did? Because you're phrasing the question differently. And when you phrase it differently, you'll get a different response because the person will not feel attacked. They will not feel like you're trying to point the finger at them. You're trying to throw shade. You're trying to be nice, nasty. All right. No, no. You're turning around and saying, you know what? I'm sorry for what I did. All right. I really, truly, I apologize for what I did. And when you do it that way, it will keep the situation calm because you're not coming in a defensive, or attacking manner. Somebody else.
Pastor, when you said global, the whole world in that way, why do they don't want to forgive one another? I think a lot of it have to do with right is wrong and wrong is right. There's flipping the script here.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I
that's
hear
making
you. You
hard.
talking good.
That forgiveness is getting lost real in the sauce with right there, because everybody want to be right. It
Mm,
kills them to humble themselves. You see what I'm saying? Nobody don't
yeah,
want to humble themselves.
yeah, yeah,
So on the global part of it,
yeah, yeah. Because it's sad now, and let me go political for one moment. Almost after she got finished saying that, and make you want to go like this. But let me go political for one moment. All right, because I don't know, who follows it and all that other stuff and watch the news. I try to keep up on the news to see what's going on. And we know how, for the longest they were saying that, especially at Fox News, how they were saying the election was rigged, the machines were rigged, people that voted for Trump, the machines flipped it and put it towards Biden, and all this other stuff. And you had all of these talking heads, all right? They were on live news saying this, but then behind closed doors, they had group texts going saying that this election wasn't rigged. This election wasn't a lie.
yeah,
Trump honestly lost. They had all these text conversations going on, but when they got in front of the people, in front of the camera, they would turn around and say, oh, the election was rigged. We need to have lawsuits and this, that, and the other. Going along with what Sister Kathy D said, calling right wrong and calling wrong right.
yeah.
Anyone else?
That's what I was
Anyone
saying.
else? Because Brother Elijah ended up saying, I think when we become so accustomed to the pain or issue, we get so enamored with the event that caused it and lose how to simply say, I'm sorry. So used to the issue, we don't know how to fix it. We're so used to it. We don't know how to fix it. Oh, 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 oh. Or if not that, we adjust to it. Because you think about it. If your right arm is hurting, you adjust, all right, to your left arm. If your left ankle is hurting, you adjust and take some of the pressure off of your left ankle. If your back is hurting, you adjust to it by putting more pressure on your stomach. But if your stomach is hurting, you end up putting more pressure on your back. You make the adjustment that you need to whatever the situation or whatever the pain or whatever the issue is, and you keep it moving instead of doing what is necessary to actually deal with the problem. Because some actually need to have their mind fixed so that their body can be regulated. But if they don't have their mind fixed, then their body won't be regulated. And what makes it bad is some of us keep skirting the issues. And so in that, we continue to hold on to it. We continue to coddle it. We continue to cuddle with it. We continue to burp it, feed it, diaper it, change it, all that other stuff. And then we go back and we read it and we rehearse it and all those things. All those things on a regular basis. Instead of just saying, you know what, let me just let this thing go. Let me even tell us something else. The reason why some of us have the physical, all right, trauma that we have as far as blood pressure. Your blood pressure is too high. Your blood pressure is too low. Your sugar's out of whack. All right. You can't keep weight. We always talk about gaining weight. All right. But you can't keep weight. You're always losing weight. Or go to the other side. You're always gaining weight. Listen, it may not be some medical issue. It may be because you're holding on to something that you need to let go of. Some people are on 5 different blood pressure medicines because they have issues. It's not the stress of life. It's not the stress of situation. It's not the stress of a job. No, it is because we are holding on to something, And because we are holding on to it, it is manifesting through our blood pressure, through our body. Even on top of that, some people have had strokes and they've had heart attacks because of it, because of unforgiveness. Some people are addicted to drugs, alcohol, they have all types of addiction. And it's because they have an underlying issue and they won't ask, or they won't seek, or they won't forgive. And so they're holding on to it. And as they hold on to it, they continue to have these same problems. And what ends up happening? All they have to do is just let go and forgive. Sister Cannon, she put online, it's like the fish market syndrome. Initially, you smell the stench and know what's wrong. Stay in it long enough and it becomes routine. You'll get used to the smell. You'll get used to the smell. You'll get used to the, to the problem, to the shoulder not working right. You'll make that adjustment. You'll get used to it. Now, does anyone else have something that they want to add to it?
I just want to say I agree. It's becoming the new norm of everything being so backwards and upside down. So instead of easily forgiving and letting things go, like little kids can play, argue, fuss, and fight, and the next day they're still best friends. But as we get older, we lose that innocence of, it's okay, we know not to do it again, but I forgive you. Let's still keep going forward. We lose that. So the new norm, I guess, now is unforgiveness, holding on to it. There's so many people lying and so many people doing so many other bad things. It's like, well, what's the difference if I don't forgive?
Yeah. And they and some people just say and do what they want, whether you talk about in church or out of church, because there are people in the church that'll lie, steal, cheat just as quickly as those out there in the world. But then they still claim salvation. They still claim Christ. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. Aren't we supposed to be the light, the salt of the earth? And you still doing the same thing? Then there's no real difference. There's no real difference. Aren't we supposed to be the representation of Christ on the earth? Aren't we supposed to be that example? Oh God. And not only that, aren't we supposed to be that example to our children that see us in private? But we keep doing in public what we don't do in private, and we do in private what we don't do in public. And we do some things in church that we don't do in home, and some things at home we don't do in church. And so the children are left sitting back saying, who's my real mama? Who's my real daddy? But then let me add something else, or add something else to it. When that child starts to do the same exact thing, we can't turn around and chastise that child until we chastise and correct ourselves, because they're learning by watching us. They're learning by listening to us. When we used to pick up the phone and we knew it was the bill collector going way back in the day, and we tell them, here, Junebug, tell the electric company that you're not here. But then next thing that I'm not here. But then next thing you know, Junebug pick up the phone and said, my mommy over there said that you're not here. And then next thing you know, we get mad at Junebug because they just said. But then next thing you know, Junebug grow up later on, start lying, start stealing, start cheating. And we can't, jump on him, jump on her, because it was learned behavior. It was learned behavior. Does anyone else have something that they want to add? All right. Because the point we have to deal with on tonight, Minister Frazier was alluding to it earlier. And it's this, it's a statement. No excuse, but they did not know any better. Have we ever thought about it like that? Have we seriously in our lifetime, in our adult life, did we ever think about it in that way? Did we ever give the person a benefit of a doubt? You know what I'm saying? And it got real quiet, and I know a lot of people are on mute, but that's a heavy one right there. Because how in the world can I forgive someone? And how can I extend forgiveness or really think about it? They didn't know any better. They just didn't know any better. They were doing the best with what they had. They were doing the best with the information that they had, with the knowledge that they had. It's no excuse, but nobody taught them. Nobody showed them. So they were just doing, as we had stated, learned behavior. Because sometimes they figure, I made it out. I'm not doing that bad. So I might as well go ahead and do the same exact thing. I can change it a little bit, but I'll just go and do the same exact. But nobody ever told them sometimes, or they never even realized it until we became adults and we learned better and we told them. It's like, listen, you know, give you a prime example. My dad didn't beat us for many things. All right. We all know I ain't going to sugarcoat none of that. All right. The political correct term, corporal punishment. No, he didn't beat us for a whole lot of things. There was only like 3 things that he would whoop us for. 1 was if we were disrespectful. 2, if we had the possibility of hurting ourselves. And I forgot what the 3rd one was for. But they all fell into those 3 categories. And if what had happened didn't fall into that category, he wasn't going to do it. Reason why is because he was like, I'm not going to do to my children what my mother, which is my grandmother, did to me. And that was whoop they behind for every little thing that they did. Because we have to think about it. Not every child needs a whooping all the time. Not for every single thing that they do. And then sometimes you got to learn the child's temperament.
That's right.
You got to learn it. You got to learn their temperament. You got to learn, their personality. All of that stuff. All of that stuff. You learn them, and that makes you a better parent. But if you don't spend that quality and quantity time with them, then you're going to end up treating them like the rest when they are totally different and they need different type of attention. And then what will end up happening is later on in life, they will end up coming to us and say, I forgive you for what you did to me. And we'll sit up there and say, what did I do to you? And they will turn around and say, well, you treated me just like the rest of them, just like my brothers and sisters and my cousins and all of them. You whooped me the same way as you whooped them. You chastised me the same way as you, and I didn't even need all that. You didn't even realize that I didn't even need all that. Did you really know me? Did you really take the time out to understand me? Did you, or you just lump me in with everybody else? Because for some of us, we got to really take the time out and really look at ourselves. And we got to really seek forgiveness. And we really got to forgive others. Because we cannot hold it over that person's head. All right. And we cannot allow others to hold it over their head. Because that's another way to keep somebody in bondage. It's not only keeping them in bondage, but it's also keeping you in bondage. Just like the lady from Diary of a Mad Black Woman. When that guy, her husband, could not do anything for himself. And she was like, I'm going to exact revenge on him. Sitting up there throwing his food at him, knowing he couldn't feed himself, sat up there and threw him in the jacuzzi in the waiting pool. That's why Medea, you know, the mother asked him, "What are you doing with your husband?" She's like, "Oh, I'm taking care of him." And Medea was like, "Nah, I know she ain't taking care of him. She's sitting up there whooping up on him and all this other stuff because I know her. That's what I would be doing if he did it to me." Mm-hmm. That's no excuse. That's no excuse at all. Just because you got the upper hand, that doesn't give you the right to sit up there and exact vengeance. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You can't sit up there. You can't sit up there and do that.
Yep. You can't do it.
Just because you got animosity, just because you got hatred. You listen, God. Just because somebody dogged you out when you were 20 years old, don't sit up there and dog somebody else out when they going through a similar situation. And you sitting up there trying to take out and you going overboard with the punishment. I mean, you going way over top. And you're like, I'm going to make sure that this person, nah, baby, you got to look at your motive. You got to look at how you doing, what you are doing.
Yep.
Because that's when it's bad, when parents used to save up. And my mother was famous for this. Save up a whooping. She would save up a whooping. She's like, listen, I ain't going to get you now. I ain't gonna get you now, but listen, you got 2 more times, you got 3 more times. And then once you did it the last time, she's like, this is gonna be for those last 3 times when I told you that you got this one coming. So it'd be sitting there, it's like, you finished yet? I done cried my last tear, my tear ducts are dried, my behind is aching, my throat is all raspy from screaming. You done broke skin, all this, and
yep.
That's how they used to do. That's how they used to do. But we cannot hold it over them. We cannot hold it over them. All right. We got to release it. All right. Even if they didn't know any better, they were just doing the best that they can with what information they had.
Oh, Lord.
Because going back to what Mom Janet said, she said, you got to ask for forgiveness. You got to forgive them. And you got to see where the chips, wherever the chips fall, that's where they fall. It's not only freeing for them, but it's also freeing for you. And watch, as you do that, as we forgive others, watch, the weight comes back. Oh God, even think about it. What is that? Whoever that actress was, she was sitting up there saying that I lost my hair in the Diary of a Mad Black Woman. She was sitting up there saying I was losing my hair because I was stressing. I was stressing because of the situation. See, all of these things, unforgiveness,
toxic,
not willing to forgive people, all of this stuff can and will affect us in who knows whatever kind of way. There is any number of ways that it will affect us. And when we're not willing to do it, like we said, blood pressure, sugar, all that stuff. But when we forgive the way that God has commanded and instructed us to, listen, our hair grows back, our weight, we're able to hold down food, we're able to put on weight, we're able to take off weight, we're dropped, we down to 1 blood pressure medicine, our sugar is fine, all that is fine. We're not walking around grumpy and angry any longer. We are just sitting up there, just having ourselves a good time in the Lord. Why? Because the Son has set us free. We have done what is necessary so that we can and will be free. Word of God says, Ephesians 4:32, and be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. Let me go back and read that again. Ephesians 4:32. and be ye kind one to another. Like we were saying,
Yes,
people
sir.
are not kind. People are not kind to each other. Tender-hearted, forgiving one another,
Yes, sir. Yes,
even
sir.
as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. But then on top of that, Jesus Christ said in Luke 6:37, judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. Let me read that again, because some of us missed it. I want to make sure those that are watching it later on, so that we can all get it. Luke 6:37, judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven.
Forgiven.
And besides that, you'll sit there and you'll say, wow, I feel so much better. I really do. I feel so much better. It feels like 100-pound weight has come up off of me. And I don't have I don't have to sit up there and look at and deal with, all this type of stuff. Because let me tell you something. True forgiveness, and I believe somebody had alluded to it earlier. True forgiveness, and you know that you have forgiven somebody when you can go up to them and look them square in the face and have no issues, and you don't feel any issues. You're not trying to avoid them. They don't have, you're not trying, none of that. You would give them the shirt off your back. They are stuck somewhere, and you're going to give them a ride. That's true, real, honest forgiveness. That's when you know you don't have any animosity. When and if they text you or they call you, you answer. You're not ghosting them. Just like, some even get to the place that it gets so bad where we can tell that somebody may still have a little bit of animosity, because when they start to talk about them, their tone, their demeanor starts to change. Their voice changes. And it's almost as if it's like, hold up, are you still, do you still got a problem? You say you free, you say that you forgive them, you ask for forgiveness, but your tone and your attitude said something totally different. It don't match the words. The words are not matching your actions and what you say. But when you really, you can sit up there and talk to them. You can go out to dinner. You can laugh. You can joke. You can go to the movies. You would give them you would even loan them some money. I mean, all types of stuff. When you truly, honestly forgive somebody, and that's what God has modeled in front of us. And we need to live according to that model. Because as Mother Shula has said earlier, didn't God forgive us? Isn't he continuing to forgive us every day? Forgive us our trespass, even, those that trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. Forgive us of sins of omission, sins of commission, meaning forgive us of sins that we, or problems or issues or things that we did, that we know, things that we don't know. God is like, yeah, I'm forgiving you for all of it. So that's the first part. It's no excuse, but they didn't know any better. Now, we're going to save the rest of it for next week. So I'm going to need y'all to join in with me next week, because we got some interesting questions that I want to deal with right now, but it's 7:57. And I want some of us that are getting a little weary, getting a little tired, past your bedtime, so that you can go ahead and close your eyes and go to sleep. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
But Pastor, I
Yes.
don't understand how you can really enjoy the joy of Jesus if you haven't truly forgiven. I mean, I just get the glad, I mean, just the joy of the Lord, just because he's God, he helped me through the day. I'm just thinking of his goodness, just to get the joy of God, really experience that joy that comes, that's inside of you, that just be bubbling up, and people look at you like you're crazy. Why are you smiling? I'm smiling because I love Jesus. And he loves me. So I say, free yourself and let the Lord really give you that joy, because we all been through something. We all been mistreated. And we had also mistreat other people too.
And for those, the thing that you look at sometimes too, and unforgiveness holds us back. All right. When we're not willing to forgive others, it really holds us back. It really does. Because we could be so much farther, all right, in ministry, in church, in life, all right, doing so many other things. But because we don't have that forgiveness, and we have not given forgiveness, and we're just holding on to it, it has, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. There's no other way to explain it. There's no other way to encapsulize it, because it holds you, literally locks you up in bondage. It locks you up in bondage. And besides that, it also breaks up, as we alluded to, it breaks up families. It breaks up families. It breaks up families because it puts walls of division and strife and anger and animosity and all that stuff in the family. And then it causes people, within the family to second guess themselves and all of these things. And it does it. Anyone else has something that they want to add, a point that they just thought about? All right. Well, my name is Pastor Lamont Brown. I'm a pastor of Faith Baptist Tabernacle here in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where we are evangelizing to the family while building disciples. I just want to remind you of this one thing. It's already done.